According to the third assessment report of the IPCC, Africa is one of the most vulnerable continents to climate change and climate variability, a situation aggravated by the interaction of multiple stresses occurring at various levels and low adaptive capacity. Africa is the most vulnerable continent to climate change impact under all climate scenarios above 1.5 degrees Celsius. Africa, despite its low contribution to greenhouse gas emission, remains the most vulnerable continent. Oladosu Titilope Adenike is a freelance journalist and founder I Lead Climate and advocate for climate justice. She's joining me now live to discuss the potential future effects of global climate change. Adenike, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
So let's start by asking how vulnerable you think, in your opinion, African continent is to the climate change.
Yeah, in Africa, climate change is already a reality. It's no longer a threat because we are seeing it through cyclone, heat wave, through different kind of crisis that is happening currently. We are some climate event at the same time, and dangerous threats that we are seeing, which is leading to armed conflict, because currently climate change is now a security threat to Africa. We are seeing it through the rise of armed group, and definitely it's going to keep progressing if we don't act, if we don't do anything. And that is why we are raising our voices through different campaigns and advocacy to see how we can get political will from our leaders to see how they can tackle the climate change crisis, because it all needs a joint cooperation for us to see how we can meet towards our climate goals in solving the defining issue of our time.
Okay, so you started, climate change campaign in Nigeria. So far, can you tell us more about your campaign?
Yeah, very well. When I first started, I started the Fridays for Future. I initiated it in Nigeria first, just to see how young people can be part of the decision making of their tomorrow. And when it comes to climate action, and gracefully, many people are now involved across African continent. And now I'm also leading a campaign, the I Lead Climate Action, trying to bring in Pan-African problems that could be solved by Africans, and as well needing international support to see that we're able to transit to clean energy sources and we're able to beat the climate change crisis, because without climate finance, there is no way our climate action can be completed. So very well, my campaign so far, it's how we can see how we can help the communities that are vulnerable, to be able to support them through our advocacy, through our campaign, to draw attention for political will, for all the needed efforts that we need to tackle the climate change crisis. And so I started this advocacy right from where I graduated. Um, from university, and up to now I'm still continuing the campaign because I'm seeing more young people coming to this space, because climate action doesn't matter the age you are, nor your qualification, or who you are, because we are all on the same planet, and anything that affects us is definitely going to affect the whole population. So if climate change is not affecting you now, know definitely that your next generation might not escape from it. So it's what you do that's going to count. And that is why we see that every climate action summit really matters, to see that we are winning the race against the climate change crisis. Because right now, it doesn't look like we're on the track to win the race, because we are still seeing more fossil fueling, carbon emissions rising, and the rest. So we really need more support. We really need to keep our campaign going. And that is why I so established that I lead climate action initiative, especially when it comes to raising ambition about the restoration of Lake Chad and a green democracy, because climate change could lead to a broken democracy.
So, thank you for that. Tell me, what are the challenges that you currently face in this campaign?
Yeah, very well. The climate justice movement is really comes with a whole lot of challenges. Sometimes you have to carry out climate action using your personal fund. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your time, just to think through different solutions that come to your mind. And when it comes to writing, which does a lot, then you have to think before you could write. Sometimes I write article twice in a week, once in a week. And it all has to do with a lot of work you put behind the scene to see that you're able to bring out quality work for people to read, and for people to know where the problem lies and how to solve the problem. Because I believe that if you don't know that a problem exists, you can't find solution to it. And that is why climate education is very important, to see that we are able to educate the general public that it doesn't really matter that you are already a graduate. You still need to be educated about the climate change crisis, because it is not part of our curriculum. It's not something we're taught. So we have to educate the public for them to get the general knowledge of what is happening around us. Then we can all solve the problem together. So very well. There's a lot of challenges when it comes to trying to convince people to join the movement for climate justice, trying to tell people that what is currently happening is climate change is one of the leading cause. So sometimes it could be really challenging to convince people of such cause, but we keep moving. We are not ready to keep quiet. We are not ready to stop, and we are ready to demand for justice, because justice for one is justice for all. So whatever we do now, if we're able to get climate justice, then it's going to influence over other global goals, such as gender equality, education, no poverty, zero hunger, food security, and the rest.
Okay, so looking at the various, security challenges facing the continent, and also most importantly on the West African part, looking at the series of coups happening in Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea. How do you think this, would affect your campaign, and also the region achieving the climate goal?
Yeah, I think one of those things that climate change does is that it affects the capability of communities to adapt to all of these changes. And part of it is what we are seeing, that the rise of violent extremists, armed group that are really seizing the opportunity of the displaced people that have lost their livelihoods, to get them to join them or to recruit them. I think I'm going to write it as part of my article that is tomorrow to be released precisely, and accompanying it with a video on my blog at womenandcrisis.com, stating the implication of the loss of livelihoods, looking at the Lake Chad region and how the shrinking Lake Chad have affected or is creating impact or increasing the probability of armed groups trying to expand their boundaries beyond the Chad region. Because once people have lost their alternative livelihoods, what they are left with, they becomes vulnerable to any kind of crisis, and that is what we are experiencing. That climate change is taking another form of vulnerability in terms of making people to be recruited easily to armed group of people, and that is why they keep becoming perpetrators to their various communities. And that is why also it's very important that we restore our various landscape, because in Africa we know we can't do without agriculture or without our natural resources, because they are very important. They help to employ majority of our of the youth of people, and it also helped to also sustain our livelihoods. So once it is lost, like for example that of the Lake Chad region, whereby there are more than 30 million people, and these people depend on this lake for different livelihood options, for the farmers, for the herdsmen, for the fishermen, and these people have been displaced. So it's a very big issue that we really need to look into. That recharging the lake is one of those steps of, or one of those things that could bridge peace and security in such region, and could also end terrorism or any form of armed group that could rise in the future or presently. So it's not all about using military or weapon or any kind. It's all about us trying to look at the situation so that we wouldn't create another bigger problems that in the case of we trying to solve the problem.
Okay, thank you, Adenike. So recently you attended the COP 25 in the UK, the United Nations Climate Agency, and also the African Development Bank expressed serious concern, regarding how climate change, will affect, some countries in Africa, on the continent of Africa. So they expressed concern, in regards to Mozambique, Malawi, and also Ghana. Looking at these other countries also being on the high, on the high list of countries that are more vulnerable to be impacted by the climate change. So what message, do you have for leaders on the continent in regards to climate action?
Yeah, I think the climate change crisis, it's a global issue. And every country in Africa specifically has been impacted in one way or the other by the climate change crisis. Talking about Mozambique, Malawi, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and the rest. For in 2019, they were impacted by cyclones on 2 different occasions, and now this same area is also still being impacted. And that is why it is important that climate finance at this time is very important for us to be able to transit or to a cleaner energy sources, because without support for us to be able to adapt or to even build capacity, it's going to make the climate change crisis to get worse, because the capacity is not there. The necessary resources that we need for us to be able to transit to where it should be or how it should be is not there. So in anything that we are doing right now, even though if it needs us to switch from fossil fuel to cleaner energy sources, it all needs us to get the necessary finance, be able to access the finance that it's needed for us to do all of this. And that is why the 2009 agreement that was made should have gone a long way in helping African countries or vulnerable countries to be able to get stronger in tackling crisis like this, we shouldn't have been faced with several pandemics or cyclones or heat wave or even flood, but such promise was never became a reality. And that is why it's important that for every conference, for every meeting, for every decision we take, maybe globally, we should try to localize it when we come home, to see that such conference is not, it's not that we are just attending it, but we are trying to make effort. We are trying to make it a reality. At COP26 in the UK, there were several commitments that was done. How far have we been able to go? Where are the necessary support? Where are the capacity that we need to make this a reality? It's not by we just mentioning commitment. It's about making it a reality. That is the time we have right now. How will those commitments that we've made in the past and in the present becomes a reality? Even the number of commitments we have so far, if we have been able to make it a reality, we would have gone further than where we had today. We would have been on the track winning the race against the climate change crisis. So this is a call for us that the time to act is now, and the cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of acting now. And so it's very important for us to keep holding our leaders accountable, to keep campaigning, to keep advocating for what we think is right, and we should wait for greater results while we are trying to campaign or rally around for such.
So, to sum it up, the African Union has Agenda 2063, and also the United Nations, call for action, towards climate change. Do you think all these things, in long term, will help, or will, help your organization or young people out there who are also willing to join the movement, as you call it, towards achieving, climate change realities in Africa?
Yeah, I think one of those themes for that year was silencing the gun by African Union. And in my opinion, as I shared using my blog spots, the www.womenandcrisis.com, I mentioned that it is beyond the physical gun. When we are silencing the gun, then we are trying to tackle climate change, poverty, insecurity, because these are all guns that are affecting our world today, that are leading to different insecurities that we are seeing in our communities. So the Agenda 2063, it has to start from now, because that time will come and pass. What have we achieved? So it has to start from now, mobilizing people, trying to get the result right from now, because that 2063 is still far. A lot of havoc would have been done. A lot of crises would have been irreversible, because right now we're getting to that point whereby different things that have been caused by the climate change crisis might not be reversed again. It might not be replaced or not restored. Then it becomes a permanent destruction. So, and I'm also very keen to when I see leaders making promises of 2050, 2040, 2060, and I wondered, how long are we going to wait? Like people of Niger Delta, where the oil are destroying their landscape, how long will they wait for 2050 before they could get justice? So it's just like postponing climate action into the future, and a straight or indirect denial that the climate change crisis exists. Like they are not different between the those people that denies that climate change does not exist. Because when you are pushing your responsibility into the future, you're not trying to act on the climate change crisis. And I wonder that different leaders should come up with their own different framework within their leadership position. Because when we broadcast,
there is a positive and unique side of Africa never promoted on mainstream media.
Recording in progress.
The narrative of Africa on mainstream media is about war, hunger, poverty, and corruption. Join me on Traveling with Abdulrasheed Abubakar as I show you the positive side of Africa, Africans in the diaspora, and the impact of Africans around the globe. My name is Abdulrasheed Abubakar. I am an international multimedia journalist. Join me on my social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook to explore the development of Africa, Africans in the diaspora, and the impact of Africans around the globe.
Prince. Hello? Prince. My name is Abdulrasheed Abubakar. I am an international multimedia journalist. Join me on my social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook to explore the development of Africa, Africans in the diaspora, and the impact of Africans around the globe. Hello, I am Abdulrasheed Abubakar. I'm traveling across all 55 countries on the continent of Africa to showcase a new way to see Africa. Join me on this exciting adventure to see what Africa has to offer the world. I think we lost Adenike Oladosu from Abuja, Nigeria, today on the diaspora to the New Frontier Africa. Thank you, our viewers, for watching from all around the world. Adenike Oladosu is the founder. I lead climate advocate, and also she's a freelance journalist, and she's also a climate activist based in Abuja, Nigeria. I will continue to talk about climate change issues affecting the continent of Africa. Thank you for joining us on the show today. I look forward to talking to Olanike in the future. Have a nice day. Bye. Thank you all.
There is a positive and unique side of Africa never promoted on mainstream media. The narrative of Africa on mainstream media is about war, hunger, poverty, and corruption. Join me on Traveling with Abdurrasheed Abubakar as I show you the positive side of Africa, Africans in the diaspora, and the impact of Africans around the globe.